Why Switzerland stays neutral. Switzerland hasn't fought in a foreign war in over 200 years. In a continent that's been through 2 world wars, countless conflicts, and constant shifting alliances, one small country in the middle of it all just stayed out. That's not luck. It's a deliberate strategy, 200 years in the making, and it's still working today. Where it started, 1815, Switzerland's neutrality isn't ancient. It's actually a fairly specific, documented decision. In 1815, after the Napoleonic Wars finally ended, the major powers of Europe met at the Congress of Vienna to redraw the map and stabilize the continent. At that meeting, Switzerland's neutrality was formally recognized and guaranteed by the other European powers. This wasn't Switzerland just deciding on its own to stay out of things, it was an internationally agreed status, something the surrounding powers actually signed off on, partly because a neutral buffer state in the middle of Europe was useful to everyone. Geography helped, but wasn't everything. Switzerland's mountainous terrain, the Alps cutting through the country, made it historically difficult and costly to invade. That's part of the story, but it's not the whole explanation. Plenty of mountainous regions have still been dragged into wars. What made Switzerland's neutrality actually stick wasn't just the terrain, it was what the country did with it. Armed neutrality, the real mechanism. Here's the part most people miss. Swiss neutrality was never passive. It's what's often called armed neutrality, meaning Switzerland maintained, and still maintains, a serious citizen army specifically to make its neutrality credible. The idea is simple, neutrality only works if invading you would be expensive and difficult. So instead of relying on other countries to respect a promise, Switzerland backed that promise with a defense system built around near-universal male conscription and a nation genuinely prepared to defend itself. Neutrality, in this sense, wasn't the absence of military strength, it was actually built on it. The World War II test, Switzerland's neutrality faced its hardest test during World War II, surrounded almost entirely by Axis-controlled territory. It's important to be fair here. This period is genuinely debated by historians. Switzerland maintained its neutral status and wasn't invaded, but its wartime conduct, including certain banking and trade relationships with Nazi Germany, has been the subject of serious historical scrutiny and criticism in the decades since. Some defend those decisions as the pragmatic choices of a small, surrounded nation trying to survive. Others argue Switzerland's neutrality was compromised in ways that deserve real accountability. This isn't a simple, flattering story. It's a genuinely contested part of the history, and worth understanding, as more than just Switzerland stayed neutral and everything was fine. Why it still matters today. In the decades since, Switzerland's neutrality has become part of its national identity and its economic model. It's a major reason Geneva hosts so many international organizations and diplomatic negotiations. Neutral ground is genuinely useful for the rest of the world. It's also tied closely to Switzerland's banking sector, built partly on the idea of being a stable, non-aligned place to keep assets. Neutrality, in other words, didn't just keep Switzerland out of wars, it became a functional part of how the country makes its living. So Switzerland's 200 years of peace isn't really about luck, or mountains, or simply being left alone. It's a deliberate, actively defended policy, with a genuinely complicated history behind it. Next time someone brings up neutral Switzerland like, it's a simple, easy fact, you'll know there's a lot more underneath it. If you want more stories like this, subscribe, and let me know in the comments which country's history you want explained next.